Alright, ladies and gentlemen, start your theories! No, seriously, Tio, now's your last chance to
Do
take
I
a
need
guess.
to theory who Amon really is? Like, let me get like it cannot be Aang because Aang is dead, obviously. It cannot be Sokka. Wait, cannot be Sokka.
Well, who knows, Tio? Qatar says Sokka's dead, but
Well, he
maybe
doesn't
he's
have
actually
the same
truly
voice
there.
actor. He doesn't have the same voice actor of adult Sokka, so he cannot be him. But
Tail,
whatever.
The plot twist is Amon was actually the original cabbage salesman.
Okay.
Believe it or not, Tail, that would actually be a better twist.
For real,
Like I said previously, the mask, aside from referencing the Dark Knight Rises, the mask has literally no meaning because Amon is a literal who. So...
No, I've got a prediction.
oh god.
He's the beardy bald guy.
Beardy
From...
bald guy.
That's a beat.
Great job, Dwebs. You really narrowed it down, didn't you?
Tenzin.
Tenzin?
We have seen Tenzin and Amon in the same room. So
Oh no, guys! He used a double.
whatever. Let's just start this before.
But
the
yeah,
intro.
but
He
yeah.
has a twin.
But yeah. For real, so Tio, I think you would have handled the hype a lot better because, trust me, trying to figure out who Amon was one of the biggest passing times fans had during this season. Because
I guess this is Zuko's mom 2.0. Okay.
Well, the difference is that we actually get the context of this one in the actual show itself. Alright, this is Skeletons in the Closet, Book 1, Heir of Legend of Korra, Chapter 11. So you know the drill, folks. Yes. Now, for context sake, back in the day, this was aired back-to-back with the finale episode. So, like with, most of our two-parter episodes, we'll be doing these back-to-back, but possibly in different sections, or Tia will give the ever-classic intermission.
Yes.
So, start your engines at the intro in 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah, or fire, yeah, air.
Again, Pedro just...
Also, for the intro, let me see if I saw correctly. The avatars that are shown are Kyoshi, Roku, Aang, and Korra herself, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Depends on who you ask, but this was the part where people started to think that the previous one was a bit jarring tone-wise. I was personally fine with it, but some people were a bit iffy, considering how dark the last one had been.
Honestly, I don't mind this type of mood whiplash. It's kind of is reflecting that if it really is based on the 20s, it really does reflect the time. It helps when my country was chock full of this kind of propaganda news.
Okay, now as I said earlier, congrats! Now apparently most of the city is A-okay with this, except for one exception.
Really?
Are you kidding me?
Why not just knock the statue down?
This is like one of those Elseworld Marvel comics where the Doom takes over just New York and not the world and reshapes the Statue of Liberty in his image.
This entire population doesn't know what the word equal means.
No.
I know what they're doing. They're saying, "Oh, the population is just ignorant. They will want anything that's convenient to them."
About that.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're Korra and him in disguise. Well, sometimes patience can be a good thing.
Yep.
Considering what has happened in the past days, I'm not willing to blame Korra. Oh God!
Hey, it's that guy from the first episode.
I don't remember him.
Homeless guy.
That's saying, "Oh, homeless guy." Okay.
Change? Do you need change? And do you have change?
Okay.
No, but we got beef stew.
Hey,
Oh.
it's better than.
Okay. So it turns out there actually are some non-benders who are okay with other benders, but apparently it's mainly just the homeless ones.
Get it? Because poor people don't have anything, so they're the more honest people. So it's like Beyond Two Souls.
It's just so clumsy and lazy. Like, seriously.
Let me guess. Hold on. Let me guess. Homeless guy turns out to be like an engineer who lost his job because of evil people.
Let's wait and see. But, again.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Well, Theo, at least they're not, spiritual hobos like in Fahrenheit.
At least they're not cyber mugs.
Everyone got diarrhea. Fantastic.
That's not what we needed in this show.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're telling me that in this entire city, which has plenty of people who are married to benders or non-benders, that everyone in the city up top is okay with this? Again, maybe they could just show some scenes of people being oppressed into doing this.
If it's more like a dictatorial oppression, maybe it's out of fear.
That's the problem, Tio. Remember, this is supposed to be an equalist movement, to get people actually equal or whatnot.
Yeah, but
like
we have seen how hypocritical this rebel movement is, so I'm pretty imagining people being scared shit of just saying, yes, I do agree with you on equal thing.
Tio, that would be great if the show actually...
Remember, Teo. Well, I don't want to Joe, I got just the thing. Remember, Teo, like I've told you before off screen, good writers express their moral vision primarily through how the way the characters deal with the situation, not through throwaway lines like this show is doing.
And here's the problem. It's like, well, okay, yeah, this is actually a dictatorship. The problem is that...
through them in a line.
God, they even have them in a line. The problem is that I can't...
Why one at a time? Like, he has 10 fingers and he just needs one for that.
I guess it's... Well, okay, there actually is a reason for that, but I'm not going to say why. That'll spoil. But yeah, okay.
Also, again, props for giving credit where it's due. Props to the painted background. They really do good.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, but I'm gonna guess. Doing it one at a time kind of weakens him bit by bit as he does it. But if he does it two at a time, he'll be weakened so severely he'll have to spend a lot of time recovering.
Not sure, Dibs, considering he tanked a bloodbending session, so...
Well, I don't know. The show's kind of inconsistent with some things at times.
Uh-oh, it's quiet. Too quiet.
With the fog, seriously?
But where are the airships? They're not there.
I mean, it's foggy.
Yeah.
Let me guess. They're working.
Oh,
they're working with,
Nope.
Oh, wait, really? Landmines? Sorry, water mines?
That's right. New inventions of the day and age.
Mines.
I guess...
Oh, come on. He had the best occasion to say it's a trap, and he didn't use it.
Let me get... this is something that I've been looking forward to doing in this finale. To further add to my...
What's Korra going to do? Eat the mines.
To further add to my point that I was trying to argue about the whole prejudice thing that just... So, allow me to throw another quote from John Truby's Anatomy of Story. Good storytelling lets the audience relive events in the present so they can understand the forces, choices, and emotions that led the character to do what he did. Basically, this is a more in-depth way of saying show, don't tell.
Yeah, basically, Tio, what... You do raise a good idea.
It's kind of his job.
It's like, Tio, you raise a good idea. Maybe most of the city is being oppressed into it. Yeah, here's the problem. They never show anything...
Did you say that in the initial recap?
No. If anything, it's only benders, but benders are the enemy.
Let me put it like this, Teo. Remember the scene where we see Nick's backstory flashback in Zootopia? We needed something like that in this show. So, what is an actual harsh scene of a non-bender being literally beaten up or, I don't know, oppressed in some kind of way by benders. That's what this show needed to properly set up this conflict, and it doesn't because I guess the writers are just afraid.
It's not just that, but now, okay, we're at the moment where Amon is taking over the city. Now would be a good time to show that there's hypocrisy. Here's the problem. The show is never aware of it. No, I'm not kidding. Let me put it like this. The way they solve the problem has nothing to do with showcasing the hypocrisy of it being a dictatorship more than anything.
Yes, Shira, you were saying?
The writers clearly wouldn't be afraid to do something like that, considering the rest of this.
Let's not forget.
I think they just didn't. Like, from everything I've seen, I think if they wanted to include it, they would have.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well,
Again,
then what the fuck is going on here then?
well, it's like Shuri said, they just didn't, because I get the feeling Brian and Mike may not have exactly known what they were doing, because, well, okay, I'm gonna get to that actually with the finale. For now, though, awesome scene, but yeah, it turns out...
Not sure if I can agree on that, Jova. Like I said, I loved the first series for try to be a fantasy story with a spin to it instead of gaining more from the Asian culture, and I'm seeing fucking Dunkirk.
Oh, yeah, that is... Hey, it's part of the problem
Again, that's my gripe with the setting. I just can't accept the idea that the Avatar to see the Avatar franchise this much forward in terms of technology.
Speaking of which, Hiroshi Sato created those planes. So apparently being the inventor of the car allows Hiroshi Sato to be so smart that he creates all this new tech or whatnot.
Seriously?
Oh no, he's dead! The guy voiced by Dante Bosco is totally gonna die!
Really?
That's not even just that. Like they just gave him the name and the voice. And before you ask, no, this guy's not gonna become a fleshed out character at all. He's just a nobody that nobody cares about. He's just a random general that we don't really focus
Pedro,
on.
He's Zuko's grandson.
Who cares? I care about Zuko because I actually got to know him. I don't know who this dumbass is.
Yeah. Oh, and okay.
It's for this. Oh, sorry.
Battery just has a lot of technology.
Yeah. Fortunately, because we're such short a series, you won't have much time to brag about it. Oh, second wave? Damn.
Yeah. Tio! Turns out he actually knows how to do that.
Radio?
Yep.
What radio station is it?
Oh, cool! Commander Boomy!
Ang named one of his kids after Boomy. That's actually nice.
It is. And I'll give you this, Commander Boomy is actually one of the best characters in the show. We won't really see much of him until book 2.
Oh, actually it's Morse, okay.
Morse code, okay. Don't do that. You'll accidentally tell them to piss off.
It is a mountain range. That map is really hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
It's upside down.
That's also another thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Your father is at different ends with you.
The opening of the first series actually included a map of the entire world. Here, no. I don't know how considering how much the leap has been, I don't know much how the landscape has changed and where the cities are relocated. Like, I legitimately don't know where this new city is supposed to be.
It's at the center of the earth.
So
they'll be burned alive then.
No, it means at the center of the continent.
Basically,
which where the Earth Kingdom was.
Basically, as the intro. Oh, this bit. Yes, your grandfather did that, so will you.
Yes. I wish I was watching your grandfather right now.
Anyway, the thing is like, oh yeah, as was stated in the first episode with Tenzin stating it, Aang and company helped make Republic City, basically the official uniting of all 4 nations, meant to be, a symbol that the war was truly over. We see more of the developments of the making of Republic City in the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where... Oh.
Maybe you shouldn't have been a dick, Asami.
Let me guess. I would say, oh my god, they dropped me that bit, but let me guess, season 2 brings it back.
Anyway.
Worst, Wibs.
This is as we're entering the climax. My usual problem with the characters comes once again into play. I'm not saying the characters just haven't received enough development and fleshing out to really make the big action climax we're about to get really all that earned. Again, like I said, we do know some stuff about Korra, but not enough. Mako and Bolin, we just got a brief mention of what the backstory is.
Oh, that reminds me. We're actually about to get some fleshing out of a certain character who is not part of our main cast.
Wait, what?
You'll see. But yeah, supposedly Amon's hiding in there.
He's not.
Oopsie.
Patrolling? Oh, you're still alive.
Oh, right, the pro bending arena.
No, we got lost. We got lost and missed the briefing.
do the spy crab.
Little hidden entrance.
Again, there's a good reason why stories typically use flashbacks to develop characters, because as the quote that I just mentioned.
Hey, Tarlock.
Wait, really?
Hey, Tarlock.
We already had the backstory for Tarlock.
All right, hold on till we're about to get it.
No, but that's what I mean. I think
You'll see. Just wait and watch.
My name is not Tarlock.
Huh, I don't remember being this in the episode.
It's Billy.
Dun dun dun!
So, by that extension, Amon can also block bend?
No, Tio, you have to hear it to believe it.
Okay.
Yes! Turns out the guy who is oppressing benders is a bender?
There you go, Teo. You actually called it, but me and Jabba just didn't bother telling you.
You know, Pixar...
No. For the context of his commentary, you did right. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, Yakone basically escaped prison and then had plastic surgery.
I want to take his face off.
Really? That's not real surgery. That's cow and chicken surgery.
You know, okay.
Well, to be fair, this is a cartoon, so...
You know, for comparison's sake, we do have Ko, the spirit who can...
Oh, the backstory. Look at that, a flashback! We could have had more of these, forgot the thing.
Yes, Amon was the firstborn and originally called Noah Talk. And they were good kids back in their day.
So what happened?
You'll see.
The Fire Nation raided the village and killed all. That's my prediction.
Of course, he's one of those drill trainers.
Try harder, damn it!
There you go. This is the whole reason. Because daddy was a dick.
Well, we're getting there.
It's becoming dangerously close to the Spectre plot twist. Because... arguable.
Oh!
What about... Is there such a thing as mind bending in this franchise?
No.
That'd be awesome. You could manipulate your opponent into doing something.
But...
There you go, to revenge from his own sons.
That's okay, but how did Amon learn the band?
We're getting there.
Avenge me!
No pressure, though.
Yeah.
See, now, this fleshes out Tark's character considerably, seeing as how it does practice.
Yeah, starting practicing on animals.
Now, okay, trust me, while this is gonna hurt Amon's character big time, it actually helps Tark's character because it does slow him down why he was a dick as a city councilman. With Amon, though, well, I'll just let you wait and see.
That's the idea. Because we just could.
Bending abnormalities! Which kind of never get brought up again now that I think about it.
Alright, here we go.
Oh,
Oh, babe. He's making
dance
them
puppets, dance.
Of course.
There's always one.
Jesus, that face.
Whoa, we got a prodigy on our hands, folks.
Of course
Now
we do.
dance for my amusement.
Kneel before Zod.
Zod.
You're gonna carry that weight.
Pathetic weakling.
As you can tell by the I am sitting all alone on the cliff cliche.
Okay, so we get it.
Teo, you're not supposed to be laughing.
Okay, so here's the
This is like
ultimate.
great.
This is a serious moment.
It's like Grayson, where he gets introduced and as the... Of course.
As the supposed villain.
Of course they had to test each other's.
Yeah.
And he broke my arm, the bastard.
I'm going to pitch you against each other, and the winner serves on my ship. Oh, wait.
I guess he's gonna use it against his father. You know, it figures. In just a couple of years, Clancy Brown will voice a parent with actually more understandable of his child.
Huh, how about that?
There you go, called it.
Teo, have you seen this show before?
Again, it's like in Faith and Strife. I think this is a case where tropes are easy to come see from a mile. Gee, training your own son to be a dead, cold, living machine would have turned out to be a bad idea for you in the case where he was a dick.
Except here's the problem to you. That's not the sole reason why Amon becomes who he is. If this were the reason, that would actually be good. Well, it could be tooled into something fine.
Well, in a sense, but he has become just so detached to reality. In a sense, he's purely sociopathic.
No, Teo, it's literally just because his father was a dick.
There you go. You are a weakling.
I mean, he's showing concern for his mother. She's about to leave with this crazy dude.
Bye, not talk.
Okay.
Wow. We thought that the Master Waterbender perished in that storm.
He could probably have drunk his way out of the thing.
Okay, then.
He died of a broken heart.
How about the mum?
Complete with the violin.
Korra, that's debatable.
So, why did Tarok become a dick on his own? Oh, okay.
He got in my mind, the bastard.
The revolution is all lie.
Well, yeah.
So, okay. Here's Amon's motivation. Because his father was a dick, he thinks that bending is the source of all evil. You know, there's a bit of a flaw here, though. Hey, Amon, let me give you a second here. The reason your father was a dick was because...
Hold on. The bending removal is tied to blood bending?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just the souped-up blood bending.
You know, if they actually explained how bending is integrated into the biology of a person, I would actually believe that.
Now you see why I hate the power creep of the show. That's right.
Because if body fluids are integrated with the manipulation of the element that bending is using...
Oh, wait, hold on,
the idea of
this
using
line.
blood bending to remove that actually makes a lot of sense.
So you're gonna have him expose himself.
Or you could just kill him. Just saying.
Well, no, the Avatar doesn't kill.
Korra is perfectly capable of doing that. I'm perfectly behind that.
Oh, so this is an edgier show. So
Okay.
kill away.
Basically, Korra's plan is to expose Amon as a bender, and that'll take away all his influence.
That line. Put an end to the sad story.
Well, being exposed as a hypocrite can kind of damage your reputation.
Yeah,
Oh, don't worry, Dwibs. I'm going to go more into that when we get to talking about the finale. Speaking of which, that's the end of this episode, so time to pause.
Anyway,
All
I
right.
guess we'll see you for the second part and the conclusion.
I want to talk about my final thoughts about this episode, but I might as well save it for after the finale anyway.
See you for the final episode of season 1.
See you then.
Yeah, see you then.
See ya.
And we're back for the finale of what was at the time the miniseries of Legend of Korra, but now we're here for the finale of the show itself, folks.
Very good.
This is Book 1 Air of Legend of Korra, Chapter 12, Endgame, and it's gonna be quite a massive home run, folks, here at the Pro Bending Arena. No, seriously, this episode takes place at the Pro Bending Arena.
Of
Just in
course.
case you thought we were completely done with that.
Anyway, for better ease up anything, start right at the title card where it says Book 1 Air Chapter 12 Endgame. Keep the intro.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, click. And now it's time for the grand finale, the Grand Slam. Remember, this is the equivalent to Sozin's Comet of the original show. You know, the big finale where everyone's doing stuff to stop this or that.
Do the stakes in future season finales get any higher than this one?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Holy cow, do they ever.
For better or worse. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, well, it'd have to be. I mean, whoever heard of a show where one season ending as like if you fail, the whole world gets blown up. So the next one being if you fail, this bank gets robbed.
It's like, again, this is again.
However, I will say this, like Pedro said, part of the issue is when it tries to top itself. A mite too much, and oops, it's a trap.
Of
course it is.
An electric fence.
Like I was saying in the previous one, like, again, this is where the lack of characterization on most of our main cast becomes the big problem, you know? This is supposed to be the big climax. This is supposed where we're all rooting for our heroes to finally topple down the villain. But it's just, again, the characters lack depth with very little development given to them over the course of these 12 episodes. And so it's really hard for me to really be invested. The villain that we just saw in the backstory is kind of boring. The characters are not all that interesting.
Like, Amon was kind of interesting.
Gee, I wonder what we're trying to emulate with this imagery. No, that's not
what happened, actually.
Yeah. You know...
Thank you.
It's like, you're lying.
I wasn't expecting them to
So why not just wait? Why not just wait till he gets more into his speech, then you can trip him up more.
But Amon's not phased.
Let me guess. The guy in the cell was lying to them.
That would be stupid.
They do it anyway, don't they?
Just watch.
You make up stories about yourself, dude.
Do people even remember who Equalist is in their short memory span?
As in, all the muttering is like, who is he again?
Alright, let's see.
It's...
John Cena!
Da, da, da,
Oh, it's
da.
Yakone himself, but no, different voice actor, so no.
It's who's he?
Ooh. Well, to be fair, this may have happened after he was lost in the storm, so yeah.
Shame the crowd doesn't exactly follow on to that.
We're using Ace Attorney logic.
All
I
he did
mean,
was,
to be fair, he does have
accusations.
To be fair, she doesn't exactly have hard proof outside of hearsay herself. Unfortunately, captured.
Yeah. Now either you give yourself up, or I'll burn these people alive.
Can we save Tenzin and leave the others to die?
Honestly,
okay,
I don't know
maybe
if
his wife. But,
I don't know if we get that worse in the next seasons, but the children have not been that terrible so far.
And yeah, I agree. I mean, the only ones I really hated in season 1 were Icky and Milo. Janora was fine.
Well, she's not wrong.
Jesus.
Oh wait, this bit, hold on.
Louis, when did you take over?
Well, that's what I'd do if I were an evil military general.
Oh yeah!
Blow shit up.
So it turns out that Hiroshi Sato intercepted General Iroh's message to Commander Bumi's fleet,
Because of
and now
course he
they
did.
know where they're hiding. Which means that General Iroh's contributions have kind of been
Hey,
rendered.
not to the rescue.
You know, when you think
Why-
about it, General Iroh's contributions have kind of been rendered moot. Like, let's see, he comes with a fleet, but the fleet gets sunk. He tries to send a message to the other fleet, it gets intercepted, so doesn't really matter. His plans don't work because electric fence. What exactly is General Iroh supposed to do here? Oh, right, he's gonna do
Easy.
something.
Easier for fan service, Jova.
Ugh.
Remember Zuko? Remember?
And now she's getting into the proto Iron Man.
Hey,
suit.
show.
I think I'm getting what we're doing with Azami. Basically, she's the token teammate that is basically stealing the enemy's technology to the team's aid.
That's nice, I guess, but not exactly
Makes
much
sense
original
because it's her
stuff.
father's technology.
It is nice, I guess. Yeah, like Jova said, but I still wish they would actually, flesh out her character more.
It doesn't help
Jasmine.
also that she kind of has to constantly borrow from the enemy tech. Like, come on, I mean,
Sir,
What?
one of our planes is flying erratically. What should we do?
Well,
Shoot
I'm
it
guessing
down.
she doesn't have the resources to make her own
But it's
technology.
one of our planes,
Not
sir.
yet.
Anyway. Yeah, it's kind of a point. They're the last airbenders.
Stop.
Well,
People are totally okay with what is essentially the torture
And
of
then-
children.
Yep.
And then Korra and Marco accidentally burned some people's hair off.
Again, now would be a good time to maybe show some people in the crowd objecting to this, but no, everyone's okay with it.
They just want to see the awesome kung fu action.
Ooh, slow-mo.
Again, this show really likes its slow-mo.
And now suddenly Amon really did suck at dodging that. Okay.
You see,
Like,
Teo,
if there's anything you can expose him as, just expose him as being really, really stupid.
this is a
Jailbreak the saint.
This is common, Teo. Have the characters suddenly be bad at something for the sake of convenience of the plot.
Oh, speaking of having characters being bad at something, they are about to give Amon the villain ball hard in the scene that's about to
It
come.
reminds me of a bit of the final stretch of Mario and Luigi Bowser Inside Story, where Fawful, despite it being the master genius, for some reason everything goes against him because the plot says so.
To be fair, I'd say that was more so karma.
Yes, but I think it could have been handled better. It's just that it loses steam.
Okay, so, for context sake, Amon is pretty much won. He has the entire city bowing below him and everything. And so now we're in the pro-bending gym.
Oh, Avatar, where are
Come out and
you?
play.
Come out wherever you are. Don't
Wait for
breathe.
it. Yep.
See?
And now he's
Don't-
clearly bloodbending her.
Well, I guess the thing is he's out of sight. You know, he's not in front of an audience.
Just wait.
Let me guess. Someone
find
was.
your lack
Someone
of
was.
faith disturbing.
Oh. Let me guess. Someone was recording this.
Enough of this. Amon, release her.
No.
And for your sake, Teal, I have no idea how this bloodbending works. They could maybe say maybe it alters something in the bloodstream, but nope, it's just bloodbending. Takes away your bending.
Well, I guess. Well, that's it. Show's over.
Yeah,
Korra's lost her powers, and
Amon, you told her you would have destroyed her last. You know,
Oops.
Teo,
just
Teo.
saying.
Remember, Teo, he's making this up as he goes.
guys,
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's happening.
the main character is now depowered. Should we just
Totally,
end it now?
I totally believe that.
And yet, still, this is nowhere near as battle improvisation as the villain of the next season. But we'll get to it.
Oh, snap.
Oh no! Viscount Zuko might die. Whatever.
And now he's flying over the streets of New York. I mean,
There we go.
No.
Okay.
So he's Johnny Storm now?
Look.
Kinda. Flame on.
Look. When Azula and Zuko did those moves, those were strictly upward, but that was just flying somehow.
why does he even need the plane?
It would make more sense if he ignited his farts, honestly.
Please,
No,
we already have
no,
enough
no.
firebending.
It will make sense. Firebending plus cartoon logic. There you go.
It'll take away from this climactic scene, though.
Oh, that guy's
Shiroi.
dead.
Again, Shiroi, it can't be all that climatic if we don't care about the. At least I don't
Seriously,
think
we're doing this.
Wait
symbolism.
for
Yeah.
it. It
Doesn't
blew up
it
in their
actually? No.
faces.
You
Yay,
broke
he
the
did
back.
something!
Broke his mask. That cost a lot of money to make. Of the CGI
It was dead
budget.
weight.
Well,
Again-
I hope you enjoyed General's contributions for the season, folks.
Again, it would be so much better if we actually got to know these people, and we also give a more complex backstory to Amon rather than that discount flashback we got. Because
I'm going to rip into his backstory when we get to our final thoughts, because if
No,
I go into
I know, Joe. I'm just trying to explain
Oh!
why.
confrontation. Wait, I thought you said it was Firebenders who took her mother away.
So we're having a mech fight now.
I lied.
You don't feel love anymore. You're too full of hatred.
And now Sato is gonna try and kill Asami.
Let the hate flow through you.
Why evil Teddy Roosevelt? Why?
I have no idea. I preferred him a good guy. Sure, he may have been bland, but at least he was nicer, and it looked like there was more potential.
Yeah. Why did he even allow the furry ferret, the fiery ferrets to have him as a sponsor anyway?
Because it was
You
all
are
part
a
of Vera's
horrible
plan to get
father.
them to trust him.
Yeah, you are a shit father, dude.
Yeah. Here, by the way, here, Shira, let me elaborate once again with yet another John Truby quote. To empathize with someone means to care about and understand him. That's why the trick to keeping the audience's interest in a character, even when the character is not likable or taking immoral actions, is to show the audience the hero's motive. You know, again, like I've explained before, that's why I, even though I don't agree with Joel's choice at the end of The Last of Us, I still understand them because we actually got to see the motive and we understand where he's coming from. Again, this is basic shit. Get us to know the fucking characters, show before we can.
No.
Aw, that was so sad. Speaking
Your
of
fleet
sad,
is lost, and your
Yeah, the
friend
doggo
on
was
the
upset. That's the most
Endorville will
upsetting
not
thing about
survive.
this.
So let me guess. She taps into the spirit war and that gives her power. What?
Well, basically, remember.
Whoa! Oops.
Hold on, Jova. I've got a better idea, Jova. All right, Teo, take a wild guess. How are we gonna get out of this one?
No, hold on.
Wait,
I have to
who are
address this.
you?
He's the second in command guy, you know, the guy with the batons.
Yeah, but how knowing his face is supposed to be important?
Well, it's because he saw him bloodbend.
Yes, but did you forget I can bloodbend you?
Yeah.
Kind
You
of.
have outlived your usefulness.
Okay, let me just tap into some of the stupidity at play here. The logic here is that,
No, figures. This guy survived everything, and this is what kills him.
well,
Been thrown into a bunch of wooden sticks. Now I will make you. I'm surprised Amon didn't make him firebend himself.
Unlimited power!
What the heck happened there?
You know, Agent Dover,
Yeah.
What just happened?
could
I
you,
don't know.
if you bloodbend someone, can you make them use their bending on themselves?
Yes.
Like make a guy burn his head off or something.
So is Mako suddenly a powerful bender even more than Amon?
I have no idea. Oh, apparently not.
Apparently not. You see what I mean? It's like, I mean, consistency, Brian and Mike. Consistency. Try to keep the power
Again,
creep
you know,
consistent.
Again, part of what made bloodbending cool but not too OP was that a waterbender can only do it at the full moon. But now that we've got this power creep, well, then you get stupid scenes like this.
I'm not concerned for the fact of how the hell Mako did that.
Lightning
And there you
bending.
go, Tail. This is how we get out of this.
Turns out, okay, it turns out apparently, because she didn't know how to airbend yet, that means he couldn't take away her airbending, even though... No, that makes no sense, honestly.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
So hold on. So now she knows only to airbend, right?
Yes.
Which
she's
means
got the other three all
which
over
means
it.
the remaining 3 seasons will be her rediscovering the other 3 bendings, right?
Okay, Teal.
Tail.
You know what? Okay, Teal. You may have a good idea
Wait,
there.
this is what kills him.
No, if it
No,
kills...
but it
Okay.
doesn't
Let me
kill
guess,
him,
she's
but
getting
but
it all back by the end of this episode, isn't she?
No.
No.
Look.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just gonna let you wait and see the ending. But yeah, apparently Amon is dead. But here's the thing now. Yeah, that kind of makes the whole city think she's a tyrant because she killed their glorious leader who only just wanted to take away bending from everyone. But okay,
I don't care anymore.
okay, this is
Well,
stupid.
The scar was fake.
I'm stupid, so I'm gonna bend myself in a place where everybody can see it.
Okay,
That face.
okay, I have to list the ways. 1, Amon. Why didn't you just, I don't know, waterbend away to safety and just pretend like you survived on your own? 2, Amon, you wanted to commit to your lie that a firebender scarred your face? Why didn't you do something like tattoo it onto your face? Why did you use paint that could easily come off? And 3, this. This is what gets the entire revolution disbanded, because a bender tricked them. I'm sorry, but you're telling me that after it's been revealed that a bender of all things manipulated people, that they'd all of a sudden go back to being A-okay with benders?
Allow me, Jova. This is the part that I'm really... what? So now all of a sudden you care about your brother again?
Hey, bro, I know I took away your bending, but could you come with me and escape?
No, fuck off. No, you can't just take away my bending and just pretend, just expect me to forgive you. That's what I would say if I was Tarlock right now.
You
Yes.
should have gone to therapy.
So Amon doesn't even die.
We'll just let you wait and see.
Well, he just scores away because
Dwebs, he's outlived his usefulness.
So...
I meant Amon. Sorry.
No,
So-
that's why I mean, Dwebs. He's outlived his usefulness, so it will go away.
So there you go, guys. The city is now going to go back to normal. Benders and non-benders will be okay with living with each other, despite the fact that a bender was the one who tricked non-benders into doing all this stuff in the first place.
The conflict of equality is now completely dropped and will never return. Enjoy.
But it's
Despite,
okay.
as you guys just said, it should be, well, it should be worse now.
It's not that simple.
Well, that's the thing, Dwebs. Apparently, according to Mike and Brian, it is.
Yeah, Boomy's awesome.
He is.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take my brother.
Okay.
Bottles of beer on the wall,
Well, let's have a little brother-to-brother scene now.
Brother, I'm
There's
still...
nothing we can't do.
I still haven't forgiven you, by the way.
Look at my face.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
don't
I'm
worry,
getting
I've got a bunch of
it.
infinity gloves. So
Oh.
Infinity gauntlets. You mean?
I always call them infinity gloves because, well, gloves.
Oh, he kills both of them, really? You know, I could have just killed...
Murder-suicide!
Really?
Oh.
Yes, that's how... There you go, Dwebs. That's what happens.
Okay. Now, to Tarak's credit, I can see why Tarok did it. Tarok was pretty much beaten mentally and realized that the damage those two had done to the world was way too much to allow them to live going on. So he pretty much decides to end it right there.
He could have just killed his brother, though. I mean,
I guess he also
Katara.
feels guilty. Oh, hey, Katara.
Yeah, but then he'd be even bigger trouble for committing murder.
but nobody knew. It was in the middle of the mission.
Yes, I am so sorry, but the Korra has to learn everything all over again.
Maybe that might be interesting.
I also find the whole story of the two brothers really rushed. I mean, we get a flashback and then stuff happens and then they just die. There you go.
I honestly think that's the crucial focal point of the entire series. The rush nature gambits so many things in a domino effect.
It really does.
Yeah.
That's not an excuse, but yeah, Tio is right. Definitely the worst thing about the show is the rush nature. Like, if these plot points were just given the room to breathe, the content to actually
Honestly,
thrive off of.
Even the love triangle for me would have been fine with the proper time.
Yeah.
It gets worse.
Okay. Now, this is actually a pretty tense scene, what's about to come up. Okay, to her credit, she did just have all but her airbending taken away, and she kind of sucks at airbending, so I can actually see why she's this bummed. Like, she spent her whole life being trained to be, well, the Avatar, and, well, she...
I love your wife.
Oh, right, he confesses his love to her.
But Korra's like, nope.
You know, I completely forgot about that scene from Season 1.
They have no chemistry. That's the thing, Teo. They have no chemistry. They're just they're just a pair because...
It's literally because people wanted Zutara to be a thing back in the day, mind you. Back in the day. It's not like anyone was asking for it these days.
So
They had what, one conversation?
I'm sorry,
alone?
really? This was supposed to be the original ending?
Yep.
The Almighty Avatar strip with almost all its powers?
I'm
Yep.
guessing it's a, but there's a detail. It's a
Oh, wait, hold on.
deconstruction of the hero's
No,
story or
it's
whatever.
not.
Okay.
And now
She's-
gaze over the sea and
Oh, I don't know. Hold on, this is glorious.
She's contemplating suicide.
And now a whale,
Oh,
and now
I know
a
this
whale,
one, I know this one.
a whale
I know.
with magical moonbeams, please.
No, I know this. Considering she was on the cliff, it
hi,
reminds
Hank.
me more...
Wait.
Considering she was on the cliff, it reminds me more of the beginning of God of War.
Okay. Watch this.
Wait.
Hi, Hank.
Hi, Yang.
Oh, about time she actually got to the spirit world.
older.
Okay.
So,
Okay. The Deus Ex Machina of the end of the last show was controversial, but if you hated that one, you are going to... I can't even think of a word for what you're going to feel about this.
Anger can actually energy bend, so I can imagine E-Spirit actually giving her back her bending.
Oh, no. I wish it was just that. No. See, by connecting with her spirits, not only does she get all of her bending back, now she gets the Mark of Mastery. The Mark of Mastery is essentially when an avatar bends all four elements at the same time, which means Korra now has complete control over the avatar state, has complete control over all her bending, pretty much has the keys unlocked to make her the most powerful avatar now.
No.
Well,
Yep.
if this was just the conclusion of the original show, I guess, because they wanted to close everything. But considering we have 3 more seasons, it really begs the question to me, what are these 3 gonna be about?
And
It also brings up a
Teenage
major
angst.
problem, Teo. This is a massive destruction of Korra potentially being an interesting character because she didn't learn anything. She didn't have to change or get over any problems. She just got handed a solution by Aang, you know?
This is why I hated Rey. This is
although,
why I hated Rey in The Last Jedi.
Wait,
'cause
she
this
also
stuff just-
knows to energy
Wait.
band now.
Yep,
then-
she knows how to... Yep, she's even got... Oh, yeah, did I mention she knows how to energy bend too now?
I am Jesus.
So, okay.
What I will say though is that she actually did not ask for it, so...
That's
Yeah.
fine, but okay. Now, okay, one could argue they made this because it's the end of the series, but even still, okay, if you don't want to have a completely downer ending, why not have it be that Aang gives her the capability of relearning the bendings, and then maybe
That would have
whether or
been
not
more
the show...
interesting.
Yeah, again, that's the thing. You know, there's one tip I have about writing a character. when your character from the get-go is as awesome as they are, unless you have something like Samus constantly losing her power-ups, you kind of have a boring character. Now, granted, if that character earns it over time, yeah, it's fun to see the challenges that come their way, like with Sora in Kingdom Hearts. The problem is like, well, yeah, now Korra officially has everything she needs to become a master bender. Sure, we're gonna mention some things in the next season to kind of nerf that, but as far as we know now, she was the best there was gonna be at the end of this. And maybe that wouldn't have been the worst thing, but again, this season is so rushed. Which brings us to the end. Yeah, okay. Whereas people debated about the controversies of the Deus Ex Machina of the first series, pretty much 90% of people loathe this Deus Ex Machina ending in hindsight.
Well, I'm one of them.
Okay. First things first, I want to tackle that thing about Amon. Okay, so Amon's backstory is that he had an abusive childhood by his daddy, so he thinks bending is the source of all evil. Here's the problem. Yakone was a non-bender when he was calculating his revenge. In fact, if anything, Yakone having his bending being taken away from him was the reason he was an abusive father. So, Amon, you want to take away benders from plenty of other people? Gee, what if they all turn out like Yakone and also start plotting revenge, this or that, and abusing their kids? Also, Amon, were you thinking about ever teaching this technique? Because last I checked, I'm not quite sure bending takes away the ability to pass on bending to later generations, so were you ever going to teach anyone? Oh wait, no, it doesn't matter because it's just him lashing out at Daddy.
He's just a tyrant, and that's all there is to him.
He's a childish tyrant.
There's nothing worse.
Well, he's dead now, so...
Yeah, Pedro described this best. This season is a roller coaster of quality. Sometimes
and it didn't need to be.
Actually, that wasn't... Actually, that
was
was
me.
Oh, wait, that was Glibs. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, well...
Can I go first on my final thoughts?
Go on.
Go ahead.
Is it
No. Dwibs can go first. I have other stuff to touch on later. I just wanted to get the thing about Amon out of the way.
Okay. I wanted to explain. All of a sudden now she's like the freaking greatest avatar everywhere, anywhere, ever.
She's God.
Yeah.
She's an unicorn.
This is why I didn't. This is okay. I won't go so much into this example I'm going to give because of spoilers. But this is why I didn't like. This is why I didn't like Rey and the Last Jedi.
Yeah, the whole OP thing.
Stuff just comes to her like way too easily without any training or anything, and there's the same problem with Korra here.
Yeah, I see this happen in a lot of sequel series or whatnot, where the new character on the block has got to be all the more awesome than the original character.
Yeah, and half the time they do seem to be women.
Yeah, that's besides the point.
Could you continue?
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. I'll list the positives first. The visuals are really good. Well, I mean, minus the CGI. I think even the original show had some CGI issues at times too.
All right.
So, I guess there's points for consistency on that front. From what I could hear, because I had to have the volume turned down on my phone, the voice actors are doing an alright job and the music's alright.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Steve Blum now, can you? Unless you give him bad writing.
Well, funny enough, Jover, I've seen worse things with Steve Blum in it.
Like Mighty Number 9.
No.
Which also had him actually trying to send people free on a revolution, now that I think about it.
Jover, actually, no.
Come on, let's...
That's about it. It's not really so much a negative as it is like a half positive, half negative. It's like I said, it's like I've been saying, the shows are a real roller coaster. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's really bad, and there's only a couple that are really just in between.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the characters are. I mean, there are a couple that I thought were all right, but the rest, especially the lead, are a bit problematic. And it's a bit of
and that's the last thing you want for your lead.
And I can forgive some of the side characters for being a bit problematic because the story's not about them. But if the lead's not very good, and It's the lead character of the show. If that's not good, then it's really going to damage the show's great.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
I will elaborate on what you said right after you're finished. Go ahead.
And I think the problems of this show can be put up to a number of factors. Maybe they had more planned, but Nick told them no 12 episodes or nothing. And because of that, they had to try and fit everything into 12 episodes.
Did they pitch the idea of a new series to Nickelodeon?
The problem was
Nickelodeon allowed 12 episodes and until further notice.
The problem, I guess the problem was either they didn't have enough time to properly work out what stuff should be kept in and what stuff should be cut, or they just lost their minds.
Both.
Either or both sound plausible to me.
You done?
And yeah, that's about it.
Okay. For me, it's like, okay, again, I will start by addressing the obvious thing that Tay already mentioned anyway. Yes, the rush nature is indeed one of the most obvious problems. It's plainly obvious just by watching that this thing was rushed as all hell. I mean, however, like I've said, forgot these commentaries, I still think that the rush nature does not excuse everything. Because from the moment that they realized they were going to have only 12 episodes, that's when they realized they should have dropped a lot of the pointless filler that these. This is only 12 episodes. You cannot afford to have filler in a 12-episode season.
Especially when it's a season that pretty much every episode ties into one another, except for a few.
It's okay. You know that you're going to have half of the many episodes as you got in the previous seasons of the original show, and you're still putting it up a pointless sport subplot that has no purpose being here, that adds nothing to anything, has got nothing. You could literally skip and cut out all the pro betting stuff, and nothing would be lost. It's that pointless. You know, at first Shira was theorizing that, I get it, it's for pro bending that she will learn how to airbend better.
I was about to bring that up, and they kind of dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
It started to seem that way. It really did, like, for how subtle it was, but then it's almost like pro bending was never actually a thing.
Oh, it was a thing.
Exactly.
It was just a thing that was a try on our patience.
And it's the primary problem, the rush nature, and they didn't handle the rush nature at all well. That's when they knew they should have realized that they should have cut a lot of the stuff that they have here that makes no point. All that time spent on the stupid love triangle and the pointless probe, and it could have been spent fleshing out the characters, actually having, like me and Joe have already discussed, we could have had a good conversation between Lee and Korra, so they can finally, find common ground, bury their differences, and and that would instead Beiling just kind of starts respecting Korra because the plot requires her to. It's just, again, it doesn't work because they don't flat out. Again, like I said, we need to understand these characters. You need to flesh them out, and that's the problem. This is a character-driven. Well, okay, both character and thematic-driven as well. But if we don't care about the characters, you have nothing here. Yes, you have these themes. You have the theme of prejudice, but the theme of prejudice, they were either rushed or they're completely afraid of telling a story of prejudice.
Again, I doubt it, considering the rest of this. I'm sorry, I don't believe they were afraid to do this.
I agree with
the
Shiroi.
But the biggest problem, of course, like I've said, is of course the fact that the primary problem with this series, the primary one, and I'll finish right after this, is just a poor understanding of how storytelling works. That's the basic gist of it. And I will now explain and elaborate on what Dwib said. Dwib said that the protagonist is problematic, right? Well, I will elaborate on what Dwib said. Here's the problem. Okay, Shiroi, allow me to explain to you. You know what makes a character interesting, Shiroi? A strong, well-defined need and a well-defined desire. What is that, you may ask? Let me explain. Don't worry, I'll try to be as quick as I can. Desire, Shiroi, is a goal outside the character, meaning what the character is aiming for. Think of it as the goal of the plot, something that the hero is trying to achieve. I'll use the original series as an example. Aang's desire or goal, if you prefer, is to become is to master all the elements and save the world by defeating the Fire Lord, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But that's his desire, not his need. The need is what makes a character interesting. Aang's need is that he wants to achieve his goal, his desire, without compromising his principles. Meaning, he doesn't want to kill the Fire Lord. One of the things that makes Aang interesting is the fact that he's a pacifist in a violent world torn by war. You know, and he wants to. And we all know that unfortunately they kind of had a cop out in the finale of the original series. Yes, but. That's
you can't be a pacifist in a war. I'm sorry.
But that's exactly it, Shiro.
Well, I mean, you can, but
let me try to get this done though. Basically, Shiro, desire is the goal of the plot, but need has to do with overcoming a weakness within the character. The hero with a need is always paralyzed in some way at the beginning of the story by his weakness. So basically, in order to achieve his desire, the hero needs to overcome his need, overcome his weakness, and he needs to change to achieve that goal. That's what makes a character interesting. That's called character development. That's the basic gist of what character development. So, Twibs, you know why Korra is problematic? Because her need and desire are poorly established. Let's think about this for a moment.
It keeps changing. I don't even know what it.
Thank you, Twibs.
Yeah, it changes a lot.
What is Korra's desire? Supposedly to master airbending and, become the Avatar. But here's the thing. That's what the other characters want from her. She herself doesn't really seem to have any kind of long-term goal for anything. She
seems like she wants to get shit done as it comes.
She doesn't have a strong objective, a strong goal that she's striving for. And this is the biggest problem. She has no need. She has no need. Because like I said before, in order to achieve... right now, she got her bending stolen. So, did she have to, quote-unquote, change, to achieve, overcome her need? No.
She was going to.
She was going to, but the writers took that away from us.
Yeah, but it's not her fault.
Well, that's the writer's fault. They actually
that's the writer's fault.
They set up the moment.
It sounded like it was her own. That it was written to be her own fault.
Okay. To Pedro's credit, I think what he means is like, writing wise, it hurts Korra's. Yeah.
I'm criticizing the writing.
Yeah.
It
affects
they had
Korra's
a moment
character
there to make Korra potentially, quite well. The other series as well, quite interesting. But no, the writers kind of like, oh well, no one wants to sit for that.
Yeah.
Let me elaborate too. I think if I elaborate, you'll understand better. Let's go back to that moment where Amon scared Korra shitless that he was going to take her bending, and she even burst into tears. And Tenzin had to console her.
Yeah, episode 4, one of the good ones. It was good because we established something within Korra that gives her more of a purpose. She definitely does not want to lose her bending. It's part of her desire to be the best Avatar that there is, and in a way it's part of her need as well. Problem is, that kind of also fell off from the plot.
That's a problem. Like, when they established that scene with her crying to Tenzin, that was the perfect chance that the writers had to establish her need. The weakness that she needs to overcome to achieve her goal. Again, this is basic character development. Literally every character development goes through a variation of this formula. You need to establish a weakness or something that the character needs to overcome to achieve his or her goal.
Mm-hmm. Not gonna lie, we actually
like Jova just said.
Yeah.
But like Jova just said, right after that, we just kind of ignore that and go back to pro bending.
And part of the reason why I hate the scene in the finale is like, well, like you said, it feels like we're actually going to do that. Like, again, her contemplating suicide because, it's confirmed she was contemplating suicide because, might as well go on to the next bender. But her contemplating suicide was sort of a look back at her fears in episode 4 of her losing her bending and being a worthless Avatar in some shape or form. It was It was
Here's how I
actually
would've
one of the
done it.
good scenes. The problem is that it gets ruined by the Deus Ex Machina. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say the Deus Ex Machina in the original show is completely excused, but at the very least, I could see more where that Deus Ex Machina was coming from. It was from Aang's, let's call it his need to be a pacifist, to not tarnish his morals or whatnot. Sure, and you know what? At the very least, that show didn't try to claim he was right for it. It's just what he chose to do. With Korra, we never saw the Deus Ex Machina coming because it doesn't make sense with the established lore for spirits to be able to do all that now. Give her bending, the Avatar state completely mastered, and energy bending on top of that.
The big problem is, again, if I was the one writing this, I would make it so that from that point on, she would be incredibly afraid to even, fight in the revolution. That would make her an interesting fight. The fact that she has to overcome her incredible fear and trauma of what happened with Amon in episode 4, was it?
Well, they kind of do that with Korra in book 4.
Kind of like how as everybody here is saying, Saving Private Ryan, kind of like how the protagonist of Saving Private Ryan has to overcome his trauma in order to save his friend. But the point is, yeah, she has, and like Joba just said, yeah, they give her another need. Her need now is that she lost all her bending, and what can she do now? So now she has yet another weakness or problem that she needs to overcome, and she doesn't. And remember, like I said, Theo, she needs to, in order for the character development to be interesting, there has to be an internal change in the character, character development for it to be interesting. But again, the writers I guess they just don't want this whole character development shit, and they just give her powers back, and all of a sudden, again, Korra never becomes an interesting character because she doesn't change in any way, shape, or form throughout this entire thing. Aang was forced to change in order to achieve his goals.
I'm just saying there is a way to do that without the need, but it needs to be done in a very specific way, and I'll mention it in my actual final thoughts, so continue.
Well, I'm not saying that there aren't unconventional ways of telling stories, and obviously there are.
No, I'm just saying that it doesn't fit with this franchise, but I'll be more clear when my final thoughts arrive. Go ahead.
Well, considering Aang's, considering the original series is full of this type of formula of storytelling, I don't see what you mean, but whatever.
No. I was saying whatever. Go on. I'll elaborate more.
Yeah, that's the primary problem, Dwips. The reason she is uninteresting or problematic, as you put it, is because she has no need whatsoever, and her desire is poorly established. That's the problem here.
But it keeps changing. One minute she wants to save the world, the next minute she's like, no, I want to do this, no, that other thing.
The basic gist of it, to finish right here, my diagnosis is this: poor understanding of how storytelling works. That's the root of the problem here. A poor understanding of how storytelling works. I'm not saying that every single story needs to follow a rigid formula. There can be unconventional. My favorite movie is as unconventional as it gets. That's not the problem. But this is not really a Kubrickian style show. This is not really. This is a hero's journey. Again, like the original series. This is supposed to be. What's her name again? Korra.
She's the title character.
I know, but I'm sorry, I drew a blank. But this is supposed to be Korra, getting to know the world. Now that she's finally out into the world instead of being confined into whatever the fuck that North Pole thing was. And now she's finally starting to realize how harsh the world is, and why the world needs her to be a strong avatar. But again, they don't really do anything with that. They don't have her confronted with a positive change that she needs to overcome. Nothing. And that's the problem. Poor understanding of storytelling. That's the basic gist of it. That's my diagnosis. Poor understanding of storytelling. Shiro.
This series should never have been as grand as it is. I mean, if your theory is correct, Pedro, that Nickelodeon really had such little faith in a revival of this franchise, what they should have done was made a mini-series where we followed up on where the characters in the first show are now. And then at the end of it, the writers, because I know they had an active blog while going through this, so they could have easily have done this. They could have said, hey, how would you feel about a new series? Like, Nickelodeon has given us the go-ahead, but, how would you feel about a new series with new characters? And then they could have made a bigger series with a story like this.
Hey, funny you mentioned that, story. They did, but those were relegated to comics because why would anyone want to see
Because
something?
of course they were.
Because
why would anybody want to see like one of this network's most popular shows like on TV again? Like, seriously.
Even better, story. Let's see. In the comics, it's handled how the comics handled how the world was recovering after the war. They covered the finding of Zuko's mother. They handled Toph founding a metal bending school. They handled turf wars between the North and South Poles. Yeah! Interesting stuff with the original characters. Comic books only, because who would want to see a miniseries about that stuff?
Absolutely no one, Jova.
Were the comics even any good?
Yeah, they were... Oh, yeah. I mean,
people love the comics. I'm aware of that.
It's because normally when stuff's relegated to a more static medium.
Well,
normally that kind of indicates that the people in charge don't have any faith in the story.
Well, that's more so Nickelodeon's fault. The comics were, for the most part, well received. There were a few stupid things they did. It was clear that there were sometimes different writers at the helm, but for the most part, the comics are definitely well renowned, especially for how they tackle how the world is recovering in its post-war phase. Trust me, when we get to commentating on those, I'll actually give a good speech here and there about them in there. Again,
I'll have to look up and see if I can get a hand on them.
Yeah, but if they like. Since, that clearly didn't happen, a better idea for this series would probably have been, since they only had 12 episodes, I mean, they've just got off of a, 100-year war?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could have just spent the series establishing, what it means to be the Avatar in, the current setting. Like, they didn't need to have a villain or anything, just established what it means in the current climate, because it's obviously very different. I think that would have been a lot more interesting and a lot more simple, and would have prevented less convolution. I mean, they shouldn't have done this. Like, their first mistake was trying to make it as grand as it is.
Oh yeah, Shuri, it's like it reminds me. Remember how I said that episode 9 was one of the better liked episodes because it focuses on Aang and company? Well, gee, it kind of shows. Even if the characters are aged up, we want to see more of those characters because we grew to love them. That doesn't mean that we'll hate any new character, but if they've only got 12 episodes and they use them rather poorly, imagine how much better the show could have been if we could have seen them growing up, them having these hijinks in Republic City or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, again, the villain as well is just...
Which one?
Amon.
Because it keeps it's like they switch villains.
The big bad, basically.
The way through.
Yeah. Okay then. Go on.
He's just...
He's just a butthurt daddy's boy.
Basically,
he is literally one of the
petulant child.
He is literally one of the Joker's throwaway lines for his backstory, essentially.
It doesn't even make a lot of sense, because between the two, the other brother should have been the one with Bator because the father actually preferred him.
Nope. Apparently, Amon somehow connects his father's abuse into bending, and even though he's a bender himself, leads a crusade using magical bloodbending. Yeah, it's magical bloodbending as far as I'm concerned, until they explain how the fudge that bloodbending can take away bending.
A crusade that's based on nothing, because again, until the revolution happened, where the benders, rightfully retaliated against this, we saw no oppression. Like, any crime that we saw was just general, like, it wasn't like...
It was criminals.
Yeah, it was just crime. It wasn't like oppression. It was just crime that had nothing to do with oppression.
Anarchy.
You brought this up. You brought this up. Commit to it.
Yeah.
But like I said, they shouldn't have bothered. They should have just done one of the other two things I said.
My father was a bender.
And he...
Go to therapy.
Yeah, when are they going to introduce therapy to this universe? I mean, they introduced so much other machinery that kind of takes away from the magic of things, but I think Teal more is that.
People are still asking that about friendship is magic, so there's still no therapist.
All right. Anything else?
No, not that I can think of. I mean, again, there are some episodes that I actually liked. I don't think they should have brought the probe ending into it for reasons we've already explained. Some characters I like. I like Tenzin, Chief Beifong. The animals are always fun, except for whatever the hell the children's pet is.
Children's pet?
They're, Tenzin's kids. They had like a monkey thing that was a bit like Momo.
They did? I
Yeah, I
completely
think so.
forgot about it.
Yeah, like it appeared in like 2 episodes and then it left.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm very sure it was that.
I'm an Avatar nut, and I forgot about that.
That's also kind of a problem I kind of have. I kind of don't like how they keep shoving all these cute animals in my face as of a way, it's kind of this show's equivalent of jangling keys in my face to distract me from the fact that the characters themselves are not getting any development.
Hey, the doggo's actually been useful, more useful than some of the characters.
Oh, no,
True, yeah.
It has, Shiroi. The problem is that it's not like the show asks us to care about the dog still. It's just they're to be mostly cute in the vehicle of transport.
Well, I think the fact that I care about the big doggo more than a lot of the main cast is an issue, but
Yeah.
Anyway, that's about it.
but that's about it, really. You guys pretty much covered the rest.
All right,
Right,
Tio.
Okay, first to answer what Pedro was mentioning before, there is, I think, a sorta kind of way to do a character without the need component, but it's a very extreme one. It's the route that I'm gonna mention 3 examples that fits into the same category, but has basically the same thing in common: the Punisher, the Doom Marine, and the Goblin Slayer. Basically, they hate the shit out of their enemies, and they're so incorruptible as a result of that.
Yeah.
They're basically a force of good that's completely stoic in that kind of sense, and doesn't let others tell them what shit they're supposed to do. There is a lack of need because there's only the character, in this case, someone who just has to fulfill his or her own goal. But you're having fun because this character manages to get through the hardship without managing to be corrupted as a result. It's not in a case of it's invulnerable, because these characters actually do get damaged physically. In fact, so it's not like they're very serious, but they don't have the component of having their moment of weakness or having internal conflict as a result. They're determined on what we do, so they lack the component, but they do work on a narrative standpoint because they're just so fun to see. The most similar things I could have seen this apply to a franchise like Avatar, like I said, I don't think it would have been applicable if they made, from what I've seen also, by the way, the little few that I see, even made Korra more like, well, what I suggested before, Avatar Kyoshi, because Kyoshi really gave me that kind of attitude. But unfortunately, this cannot be applied to this.
Sure, I understand what you mean, Teo. It's kind of like Commando, where Schwarzenegger's character. But here's the thing.
Well, no. Let me say also this though. Commando though, as a thing that Schwarzenegger doesn't have a characterization. The characters that I mentioned do have. They have a support. They have a supporting cast that interacts with them, and we see it just really lacks the need component from our protagonist, which is compensated by the stonewall attitude towards moral imperversities.
Sure.
That's what I mean. And like I said, though, I'm pretty sure it's not applicable to a case like Korra. So really, Pedro's case still stands on its own.
I just want to brief a little, and yeah, I do understand what your point is. Just that. And that's fine, but that those work because that's not. But here's the thing: those examples you mentioned are not the traditional hero's journey, which is what Avatar is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a hero's journey, and this is so.
Yes and no, because we have given the idea that not every Avatar journey has been very the same because of the world shape and their own stories. So having something different from the usual would have not feel too alienating from me.
I think I see what Tio means. In some ways, Korra feels like a watered-down Avatar Kyoshi. Like, Kyoshi was all about...
I was gonna ask what was her name.
Kyoshi, yeah. You know,
Yeah.
see, now, yeah. You know, it's a funny thing, Tio. Kyoshi kind of, I think,
Which
fits your idea there.
like if there was something like that, it would have been kind of the perfect match against Amon, because it would have been stoicness against stoicness in a way, and in a sense having a moral pillar for
Also,
the other.
wasn't
But
Kyoshi kind of a problematic avatar herself?
Oh, yeah,
If I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
correctly?
in universe, but I honestly don't really think about that.
If you
No, I mean, it was going back to your
sorry.
point earlier about, how problematic Korra is, and that's the thing. You can have a problematic protagonist or even like a secondary cast, and they can still be likable. I personally like a lot of problematic characters,
Oh, sure.
but I need to have a reason to,
Be interested. Not necessarily.
be interested.
I think.
Allow me. I know exactly what you mean, Hiroi.
Hold on.
Whole thing kind of just flip flops all over the place that I just can't be interested in her as much as I should, really.
Yeah,
Let me also point out the main problem here. With Kyoshi, the show acknowledged the fact that Kyoshi was problematic in her mentality.
And she came across that way because I believe they got in touch with her as well.
Exactly. And it was the way she acted
people
that's...
like her, I mean...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she was an avatar who technically got stuff done, but her mentality about doing it was what made her problematic. Korra isn't a similar issue. The problem is that the show never really acknowledges it. Like, think about it. Aside from obvious moral lessons, Korra isn't always really shown in the wrong, even when she clearly is in the wrong. And trust me, this becomes an even bigger issue in book 2.
I think the big thing, Shiro, is that allow me to. I think here's the basic gist of it. What you're saying is, it's not necessarily there's a difference between sympathizing with a character and empathizing with a character. You know, again, to quote John Truby.
Well, I don't sympathize with problematic characters. I understand them.
Of course, exactly. Empathize, not sympathize. Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Exactly my thing.
Sorry,
there's a difference between sympathizing and empathizing. Again, to quote John Truby, to empathize with someone means to care about and understand him. Keyword being understand him. That's
you
why
don't have to like them, but you need to like be on their level.
That's why the trick to keeping the audience is interesting in a character, even when the character is not likable or taking immoral actions, is to show the audience the hero's motive, why he's being where he is, what is the context that led him to this point. You know. That's why, again, it obviously, again, like we've established in the commentary, it depends on the person. That's why I personally liked and understood the Joel's choice at the end of The Last of Us, because I understood what got him to this point, because we were shown what got him to make this choice and why. Again, it's like you said, there's a difference between sympathizing and empathizing. Go ahead, to continue now that you're back.
Now on to the proper final thoughts. I still stand on my point of the Russian nature of the series.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. But I do believe Brian and Mike should have planted their foot down and having a all or nothing situation. Basically, say to Nickelodeon, either this show has to be done this way or pulled out entirely, because this compromise solves nothing.
But then Nickelodeon would have done the show without them.
I doubt it.
I doubt that, because it leaves. We just established that Nickelodeon had no faith in the franchise. Do you really believe it?
I mean, seriously, says why does the creator not being involved anymore stop studios from doing anything?
Oh, you'd be surprised.
We just told you the Wibs, the fact that the company doesn't care about the property.
Remember, I would just say this first season was done because Brian Mack insisted so much, and that's what I mean. We should have said no, and eventually, if told no, well, basically do the logical thing that most producers do. Basically, leave Nickelodeon and then do a spiritual successor series a couple of years later. Simple as that. Because Waves, no, it's not. Not everything is like Mighty Number 9. Let's just move on from that.
Yeah, I will say this. One thing Book 2 does have over this is that there's definitely no signs of them rushing. Oh, trust me, it does not go too fast.
Whatever.
And I've heard that at least one of the episodes. Well, I've heard at least one of the episodes is good.
Anyway,
The problem is that there's like 14. How many episodes are in season 2?
14.
12 again? Is it 14? Okay, is it 14? Okay.
Okay,
Wow,
okay,
you
okay.
did
1
two
4.
more.
Anyway,
One
back to your
good
final
episode
thoughts,
out of
Theo.
13.
Alright, I'll continue to.
On to taking aside this, in the series, for the series itself, I don't think it's good, obviously. But I don't think it's completely bad either. Like I said, I really do believe that if not for the rash nature, it could have been actually fairly decent at the very least. But more into the specific, like I mentioned, not a fan of the setting at all. Not even in a sense of, oh, we should. It's not about the characters. I really do mean the world building. It's probably just a personal thing, so I don't want to put this into objectivity. But I really can't manage to like the way this setting has evolved. It feels so alienating to me to see this setting clearly inspired by Asian culture and defined by its magical element of bending, now turning into this proto steampunk sci-fi thing. And keep in mind, I'm a huge fan of steampunk myself, so it's not like I'm biased towards it. Quite the contrary. I just feel as if this was some of the most misplaced things ever.
Probably doesn't help that we spent pretty much the entirety of a season at one main location.
Well, so did we in book 2 with Basing Stairs. So
Yeah, well, okay. Even with book 2, we got to go to quite a few locations before we spent the remainder of it in Ba Sing Se, to be fair. Like, Ba Sing Se was like the last quarter. Okay, the last half, but I digress.
So 10 episodes, kinda roughly the same here.
True. It's just like, well, at least with Ba Sing Se, we knew we were gonna eventually leave.
But anyway, what was I? Oh yeah, fuck the probe ending.
So Tio, did you manage to?
I'll let him finish.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Again, this is all just personal because I never. Well, first of all, I never liked any kind of sports movie, anything. But I don't like this idea that we have a fictional setting. Let's just make a fictional kind of sport to go along with. I get the idea of incorporating the bending into some sort of competition, but this is not the way to do it.
Allow me to quote Jurassic
Combined
Park.
with the setting, it reminds me so much of Final Fantasy X, which has one of the worst, my least favorite setting, and includes a fictional sport to accompany with. So.
Well, allow me real quick to be don't get me wrong, I hate
Blitzball.
God,
Speed up.
Blitzball as well, but
Blitzball has rules, yeah.
No, not even that too. At the very least, for as much as it sucks, it does have one small purpose. It serves as the people of Spira's one source of joy in the shitty world that they live in. So at the very least, it does have kind of a world building purpose of sort. It's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not like the game itself takes full advantage of it. But at the very least, it does have one reason to exist, which is more than I can say for pro bending, honestly.
In regards to the matting on pro bending, Tio, allow me to paraphrase Jurassic Park. They thought so much about how they would do it, they didn't start to think if they should do it. Because, I'll get more to it in my final thoughts, but there's a lot of cases where a lot of stuff seems cool, but maybe not have been the best to add in the long term.
But anyway, let me continue. The Equalist revolution thing, it's just a mess, pure and simple. It's barely elaborated. It creates so many plot holes, like the people going along with it and then regretting it, flip-flopping like in the Marvel universe. Amon is completely wasted as a character. Anything, I was more as a villain into Tarkin. No, that's
Tarlok,
because he's was so enjoyable.
He was.
And that backstory, really, like.
Also, Tarlok didn't need to go out like that.
Yeah,
honestly.
Again, I'm finally starting to like Tarlok, and then he has to die in that murder-suicide. I mean, he took out Amon. I mean, he took out Amon. Good on him, but dang.
Well, not just that. It's also a very anticlimactic way for Amon to die. Come on. Like, this franchise keeps blueballing me with villain's death. Jesus.
I'm glad this one actually died instead of just having their bending removed.
True. Well, or being closed in a mental institution. But where was I? Okay, the other characters. Korra herself, it's a tough cookie, but I'm more lenient towards her despite everything. I'm not sure why, because she clearly has her character flaws of not learning, not
Changing.
not focusing. Hold on, and the fact that the story doesn't focus on what she's supposed to do. Um, but for at least for this first book, I'm inclined to believe this is also because of what the setting does to her. Because we are getting, I think with the sequence of events, we are getting um, this episode where she's learning airbending, but then the rest of the plot kicks in and basically stops her from doing it, and it's only reprised at the end abrupt. So um, the real problem with her comes in two specific scenes. Well, three, counting also the ending that I'll get to in a second. One, it's the kiss, obviously, for very obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And the second is her the Iron Man 3 moment where she challenges Amon to a fight and she gets squared off really easily because of that. Um, because of her, but again, I would potentially write them off as one, because of her being an angsty teenager, and two, having most of her life being secluded. But the next problem we get in, the supporting characters barely do what they're supposed to do and support Korra in this situation. Tenzin, like I said, feels a complete waste to me for because of this. Even if he tries to do something, especially near the end, most of the time he just stands there or tells Korra what to do instead of, showing her or forcing her, finding another way to make her do things like that. That airbending training session is so irritating because it's so easy to write it on to Korra because she doesn't want to learn, but Tenzin does nothing to make her actually try to learn, instead of just saying, "Oh, just do this," and there you go. The Toph's daughter, the chief of police,
Lynn.
Lynn,
Baleen.
sorry, Baleen, is fine. I did not particularly care about her, so that moment where she stripped off her bending is just, sad, but what
But
can
it's
we do?
okay, she's got her bending
I like
back
her
now.
attitude.
I do.
Like the original story, the idea of her story arc where she was against Korra was an interesting idea, but we never went with that. So, the two brothers, Mako and
Bolin.
comic relief,
Bolin.
Bolin. They're okay, but they could have been. They should have been better. Like,
for someone who's supposed to be one of the main love interests, just being okay is not a good thing.
Not just
Well,
that, Joe.
well,
Notice I just forgot one of their names. So.
well, I keep forgetting the name also the other. So it's not
Mako.
like.
Don't you mean Batman?
No, the others like Baleen, for example. So
Lin Beifong, actually.
there you go.
Whatever. Moving on.
Point being, here's the thing, though, Java, which leads me also to the other thing. I honestly don't see how the big deal is supposed to be with the love triangle. Like, the scenes regarding it, aside from those problematic ones that I mentioned, like the kiss, the scenes regarding it don't last more than like a minute. So it's not like it's wasting that much time, aside from that scene, which is tied to that specific episode, which is all about the love triangle. So when the episode technically stops for doing that, honestly, it feels to me like actual character development instead of just stopping, because even if it's bickering, it's progressing the character into something because they're conflicting their own ideas with each other. So
I guess, okay, allow me to sum up the main issues. One, how much did the romance actually contribute to the show? Like, think about it. Like, at least with the original show, the romance contributed in some ways to how Aang's feelings of Katara developed, and that affected his training to master the Avatar state.
Not, because, like I said in the original commentary, love in the first series was just a thing in the background. It wasn't really that much.
Oh, let's not forget, though, it was Aang's love for Katara that affected his...
Because it was a way at establishing a deeper bond between them that wasn't intrusive.
The point is, I did not carry it in the first series. I did not carry it even here.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was one of the things I cared about the least, sure, but
The main
I
issue
mean,
is how
in
much...
this instance, it's a detriment to the plot because while, I was pretty defensive of Asami for the first, few instances of this, throughout the past couple of episodes, I've just sort of been sitting here thinking, now's not the time. Can we, deal with this later?
Speaking of which, guys, you want to know another thing that was not on screen? Mako breaking up with Asami, because, Mako just says he loves Korra, so I guess we're to assume that he and Asami break up off screen.
Well, no, remember, before they departed, they had that talk with each other,
Yeah,
where
they
at the end
did.
they hugged.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But
Joe,
was that
I think it
supposed to
pretty
be their
much ended
breakup?
there, I guess.
Anyway,
Behind
you
the scenes,
continue?
Joe. Anyways, yeah,
Sorry.
because I'm not done. Asami herself, it is a bit of a waste because she's missing a lot of things. But for the things that she actually does in the show, stealing the enemy's equipment and their conflict with her father, I actually liked her. Yes, her father, the figure of her father and his story arc should have been done way better because near the end it becomes very laughable.
Asami, I see you are beyond being saved, so now I will kill you just like a firebender killed your mother.
The non-existent mother, yeah. But I don't know. I do believe there is the idea of a character behind that. I guess I'll just need to see next season's.
Yes, we'll see.
Whatever. Top it off. The music is fine. The painted backgrounds are fantastic. The CGI should have been toned down.
What about your thoughts on the Mon?
Amon himself, like I said, it's.
You already said it's a waste of a villain.
It's a waste, and the whole mask thing shouldn't even be a thing because again, we're trying to be like the Dark Knight Rises, herp-de-derp.
But nobody cared who he was till he put the mask on.
That's the thing, Jova. They don't even do any good mean potential situations with him. If it had a situation where he was campy or hammy or funny at the very least, I could care. Like the reason why I care about Tarlock is because of his face, his over-the-top facial expression, his sneaky way, the way he manipulates others. That's what made him more memorable to me.
That's what had a lot of people thinking Tarlock was actually Amon, because when you get down to it, that would have been an interesting twist.
Amon is a Knight of Cerebus in the worst context possible. If you don't know, a Knight of Cerebus is basically a character that shoos away any kind of comedy or lighthearted moment and treats things dead serious every time he's on screen. That's what Amon is. But yeah, I think I covered basically everything. If I remember something, I'll say more. So that's just it for me. Yeah, okay, final rating. If I had to say a numerical rating, I would say this first season is a 4.5 out of 10. No more.
Wow.
I was originally going to give it a 5, but this last episode really cemented some of these last problems. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. There you go. The final moment of the episode where Korra gets her bending back,
and becomes Jesus.
Becomes basically Avatar Jesus.
She gets the Avatar state. She gets the Mark of Mastery. She gets energy bending.
No, like I said, if this was intended just as the conclusion of the show, I would kind of see it as a way of, just rushing things out, let's just close everything and move on. But no, now we're having to deal with 3 seasons with Korra in this state, and I try to see how they're gonna either power creep, to contrast her, or make her a Mary Sue through and through. So, Lord knows what happens. So, I guess I'll see that for the next season. Go ahead, Jova.
Okay. Oh man, what a mess. Again, look. I said it before and I'll say it again. I had only the best expectations for the show because the creators of the show had earned my love and respect for the original Avatar show. Sure, I mean, even the original show had its bumps in the first 2 seasons, but man, oh man, they worked so well with even the bad stuff. Like, heck, they managed to make a good joke out of the Great Divide in, the Fire Emblem players. It's just the show. Okay, let's cover the basics here. First problem I have with this is, sadly, Korra herself. Again, when she first burst into the room, when she said, "I'm the Avatar you gotta deal with," that felt so awesome, it felt fist-bumping, but now it just feels awkward in hindsight because, Yeah, she's the Avatar. You gotta deal with any problems she has. Never mind whether or not the show's actually gonna address those problems. Korra has issues. And you know what? Okay, look. Yes, she was cooped up. But the show doesn't acknowledge whose faults those are. No one ever stops to think, gee, maybe we shouldn't have kept her hidden away from society, considering how she kind of has to learn social skills. It's just she's got to deal with it. And okay, she does deal with some of that stuff. Until the plot forgets about it. Let's see, episode 1. Korra's going to Republic City because apparently the Equalist stuff is going on, but kind of drops off the focus, and Korra says she saw a lot of trouble with the city, even though nothing was really that wrong with the city except for the criminals who the cops came to arrest anyway. Episode 2. Oh, never mind the equal stuff. We got to introduce probe bending here. Oh, and also some of the supporting cast. Then episode 3 and 4 came. 4 was good. 3 was... I forgot what episode 3 was about.
It was
an
Probe
episode.
ending.
Was that
Oh,
one?
right, more
Yeah.
probe bending,
Yeah.
yeah. Episode 5 is... Let's see, it stuffs probe bending and the love triangle. Oh, wait, no, the love rectangle into the play here. Gee, 2 of my least favorite things stuffed into one. I'm in for a treat, aren't I? So, what else we got? Oh, yeah, then episode 6 comes, and... Oh, Amon pretty much renders probe bending moot. Congrats, we wasted our time on that in this 12-episode series. Episode 7 comes. Oh, she said I was a bad guy. What a shock. But then it takes away from potential of his character for future episodes. Great job, writers. Then episode 8 comes, and hey, Tarlok gets to be a pretty interesting villain, but oh wait, isn't Amon supposed to be our villain? And then, oh right, power creep, blood bending, he can do it without the full moon, bending abnormalities! And, yeah, turns out Tarlok is Amon's brother. Isn't that such a great plot twist, that Amon is a bender himself? Even though that was like one of the first things people thought of, and Pixar themselves have a rule saying to, you know, kind of discard the first idea that pops into your mind because it's kind of the most obvious, and if you're trying to generate a surprise, well, yeah. And again, the power creep. Look, it just gets worse and worse with every episode until we culminate to bloodbending being able to take away people's bending. I have trouble taking the series a bit... seriously, if someone can just whoop-de-doop, like, okay, the Avatar being able to do it, fine, they're the Avatar. But then anyone with enough blood-bending ability can just do that? That kind of feels like a danger to society, but one that's never brought up ever again. Goodbye! And yeah, then we get the finale, and Amon gets ousted, and somehow this doesn't make people hate Benders even more since, you know, a Bender lied to them. Now, everyone's back to being all hunky-dory and things and all that, screw you. And Tarlok does the noble thing, well, I'm not quite sure if it's the noble thing, but he's the one who actually takes out the villain, except he has to go too, which is a shame because this is right when Tarlok's getting his character fleshed out, and... well, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. Tarlok feels like he has more character development than Korra herself by the end of this. Yeah, you know, the one-note Dick who was pretty much unsubtle. Yeah, he turns out to be better carved and crafted than our main lead protagonist. Oh, boy. It is so straining to see the creators of the show fall for some rather rookie mistakes, like show, don't tell. Hey, look, you want to make a story about prejudice? Okay, fine. Commit to it. Actually show this prejudice that sparks this much people. Because by the end of the show, pretty much the entire city was okay with this. We don't see any revolution whatsoever except from homeless people who, well, you know the saying beggars can't be choosers? Yeah, for all we know, that was the case for them.
And while we're talking about showing things, yeah, that whole backstory of Mako and Bolin needing to become bandits to survive because their parents were killed by a firebender. Yeah, can we see that in the flashback as well? That would be nice.
Let's see, we get an entire
That's also
flashback dedicated to why our
another
villain
thing
is
that
the
I
villain,
forgot.
but no
Sure.
flashbacks dedicated to Mako and Bolin. There's a
That's
problem
also
here.
another thing that I forgot to mention, the way that the flashbacks to Aang's story when he caught that mafia boss just stops with him removing the bending from him. So for all I know, Sokka actually died from that blood bending session.
Oh, yeah, those are some pretty dark implications.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Do we ever find out whether that was true?
Nope!
Oh, okay.
Let me put it like this. Until book 4 and maybe book 3, consider book 1 forgotten.
Yeah, that's another thing. See, book 2 pretty much foregoes everything that happened here. So.
Which is one of the problems I have with it, but I'm not going to get too ahead of myself there. I'll let you be the judges of yourselves on that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like, again, I think the major issue with this show, which is another issue I have with... No, not going to go there yet, but a major issue I have is that there is a lot of potential shown here. This could have been a pretty remarkable show, and it doesn't feel like too much had to be done. Okay, yeah, a lot had to be done, but it feels like this should have been something that should have immediately come to their minds, and maybe it did, but they got rushed for time. Okay, yeah, Nickelodeon rushing them, that was definitely on Nickelodeon. My issue is that it feels like they didn't prioritize what best tore reigned in this amount of time. Like, okay, why did Pro Betting get as much time as it had, even though it pretty much dedicated nothing to the overall plot? Like Paige, like you guys have all said, imagine what we could have spent with the time wasted on pro bending or the love triangle. And okay, you want to have romance? Why not do what the original show did and have it develop more so in the background, only surfacing for, those more relevant episodes like The Fortune Teller or Daydreams and Nightmares. I mean, it doesn't always have to be at the forefront. And okay, they wanted to try something different, but just because something's different doesn't always mean it's good. Trust me, look, I'll take anything that feels like a ripoff if it at least feels like a good ripoff. I mean, and it's the actual creators of the show, so by all means. And no, I'm not encouraging laziness, it's just... You know how I said that they kind of went out of their way to be as opposite from the original show as they could? Well, yeah, let's see. Story all done in one season? Check. Opposite of show? Only takes place in one major location. Opposite of show. Check. Korra knows the elements except for air. Okay, fine. They all just come as a detriment to the show, sadly, and it's really a shame. Again, Hiroshi Sato seems like an overall nice guy until, whoop, he's a villain, so... Now we hate him.
It was me all along.
That was kind of mood whiplash as well, because there wasn't really anything... hinted, I guess, unless, one of you guys noticed something that I didn't.
No, sure, don't blame yourself. None of us really saw it coming because... Well, okay.
Sure, even if we didn't saw it coming, it's not... Do we even care? If, he's not a character, he's a plot device for the most part.
I guess.
Let me put it like this. Imagine if, per se, Dumbledore was evil all along. Now, that's a shocking twist. But is it really a good one?
Alternate character interpretation is there for a reason.
Well, okay. Let's say more like he was in cahoots with Voldemort levels of evils. That's a big twist. But is it really a fulfilling one without proper context?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a plot twist involving Dumbledore being somewhat immoral because he is kind of a douchebag.
And also Rowling is retconning everything anyway, so might as well.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I always intended to do this. It's like, no, you fucking didn't. Shut up.
Okay.
Let me start on Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, right. Okay. Better example. Imagine if all of a sudden Azula turned out to be a good guy in the end. Okay, what a twist. But would that have really worked? Sure, it's...
No, it wouldn't have. No. There is no good in her at all.
And that's one of the issues with the show. A lot of these twists feel like they're more there for shock value than an actual good time here. Except for the stuff involving Tarlok, but, well, he's dead, so... Yeah.
Yeah, that.
I already covered the power creep. The thing is that the more I notice with this show, the more it pisses me off. Whereas the more I noticed in the original show, the more I got out of it. Again, stuff like the metal bender's armor doesn't really make sense in context. Just because you can metal bend doesn't mean wearing bendable stuff on your body is a good idea. Which sure would suck if somebody who was a metal bender wasn't a part of the police. And, they decided to crush you or something.
What else can they wear?
Maybe stuff that's not as conductive.
Again, they should have a variety on the police force, for all situations.
Or here's a good idea, Dwibs. How about they adopt just... Oh, go on to you.
I already said it would because it's resistant to electricity, and since the enemy don't use fire technology or bending, they don't have to risk that.
Or hey, why not they just adopt that platinum strategy? It sure seemed to work for the Equalist. Look.
If this show, you know, if this show were on like the Paramount Network or something, or if it were like a comedy, they just say, you know what, we might be naked. They can't bloodbend, can they?
I know, right?
Mr. Enter said it best in his review of season 1. The more you think about this and the more you analyze it, the more it falls apart.
And you know, if this were any other show, maybe this would be nitpicking, but this is a sequel to Avatar. It's a high fantasy show, one that goes great lengths to establish its lore and world to the point where it feels like pretty much a real world, just a place where people can bend the elements.
The original series rewarded you for analyzing it. This one punishes you.
Yeah. There's not much else to cover that you guys haven't already. Bolin is one of my more liked characters. Granted, that's more so because of his development in later seasons, but even in this one, he's one of the better characters, if only because he's more simple. And look, I'm not saying this like simple is an objectively good thing, it's just he's one of the few characters who doesn't have stupid baggage added on that makes it dull or whatnot. And I actually could get a laugh out of him, even though it's obvious he's supposed to be the Sokka. I said this before about Monk, and I'll say it again. He's Batman. Only as dull a Batman as you can make it. He's brooding. His parents died. He blends in with the crowd. All that, yada, yada,
If he was a bit more violent, at least I will compare him to Jason Todd.
But Tio, we gotta have him... Actually, I don't know why they reel in the violence with him. Asami is,
You know, Jova, it's the... Okay,
Yeah.
There's no other extreme. Like, we all know that Frank Miller's Batman is a terrible extreme that needs to burn and die. But what would the other extreme be? Which is what Mako basically is. The opposite extreme of Frank Miller's Batman.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, I got the opposite extreme.
What?
What?
He would go out in the daylight because he's stupid, dressed up as Batman, so he can't blend in. He'd have shit aim with his weapons. He'd be poor. He'd have what else? What else? Oh, and he'd sound like he was on helium.
Huh. I guess that would be the stark opposite. Which
I'm the goddamn Mako.
It'd be funny.
Yeah.
If it were presented as a comedy, by the way.
Speaking of which, yeah, Asami is... I'm sorry, she's just token love interest as far as I'm concerned. Yes, she does get some awesome scenes, but I don't know, I mean, okay, comparing her to Sokka or heck, even Suki or Ty Lee or... Yeah, you know, the original show had a lot of cool non-bending people. Here, it's really only Asami. It's that, I don't know, she says she's taught how to do self-defense. I think we see her use her self-defense tactics like a grand total of once. And then otherwise it's just her using the enemy's tech. Now, yeah, you can see that as a good thing or a bad thing. I guess in a way it's just, it feels like she's more the Appa than anything. And I don't mean that as a slight against Appa. Appa, even, I hate to say it, Appa felt like more of a fleshed out character than her. Appa got his own dedicated episode, which was pretty much a good showcasing of why he was a great asset and just a good friend all in general. Asami feels like she was just taken along for the ride. I mean, yeah, there's that one point where it feels like they're faking us out, like, oh my god, she's gonna join her father, but then, oh, turns out she's better than that. But other than that, it feels like she's more like just a roadblock to Korra and Mako being a couple more than anything. And it really stings, trust me. Speaking of which, let's go on to Tenzin and Pema. Yeah, like I said before, Pema gave Korra the advice that causes Korra to do what she does with Mako. So I'm starting to wonder if Pema maybe broke Tenzin up with Lin Beifong intentionally. I mean, that was some pretty bad advice. No tiptoeing around it. And the show portrays it as good advice. I do not like that.
Yeah.
Hey, girls, you want to get that man even though he may be married or engaged with another girl? Just tell him how you feel and hope that that doesn't make him go psychologically crazy. That'll go wonders.
Not just that. Make sure he doesn't marry that other woman because clearly she's the wrong woman for him. You are the one. Your desire is the only one that counts.
Yes, that sounds like very good advice. The likes that Gasai would take.
That's kind of advice you'd hear from Fairy Friend Seraph.
Or a yandere.
That's basically what half of the characters in that game are. So.
But yeah, like most people said, Tenzin himself is one of the better characters. Sadly, though, again, he kind of gets squandered usage-wise. Pretty much there in that. Lin Beifong. Lin Beifong is awesome. She doesn't take crap from Korra whatsoever. She's pretty much a character people can side with from the most in the get-go. Again, issues that she doesn't get as much time to shine as... Okay, she gets more time to shine here than she does in Book 2, but I digress. She doesn't get as much time to shine as she should have gotten here. And even still, she has much more of the better scenes. Then we go on to the villains. Tarlok and Amon. I'm gonna say this right now, Tarlok's a better villain than Amon. We actually see Tarlok more so have his strategies from the get-go. And Tarlok's position is one that's more... Well, you can see where he came from. He was trying to be better from his father, but in doing so, he became just as bad as his father, in different ways or whatnot. Amon is not nearly as awesome as the show thinks it is. Oh no, my daddy forced me and my brother to become bloodbenders because he had his bending taken away. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna take bending away from more benders. Brilliant! God, it hurts. It just really hurts. It's such a weak motivation. And when you get down to it, Amon doesn't actually get much action in this show. Sure, he does the weird, mysterious thing, which in hindsight seemed cool, until you learn the fact that it's literally just souped up blood bending. Which is the main reason why I hate the power creep. God, I've mentioned power creep a lot in this. Okay, but yeah, at the end of the day, what are we left? What are we left with? Two dead villains. One who saw the light, but kind of solved it in maybe not the most long-term sort of ways, but I guess we could maybe guess that he was mentally strained because he had his bending taken away. Thanks so much, Brother Amon. And, okay, yeah. And what are we left with? An avatar that supposedly cannot bend, except for air. Never mind however that worked, but whatever.
But she can bend now because...
A solemn scene. She contemplates suicide, but maybe now the rest of the seasons will be dedicated to her regrasping what it means to be the avatar. No piercing all of a sudden! Complete by saying, when we're at our lowest, that's when we're the most open to spirits. Funny, I don't recall Aang really being that open to the spirits when he was at his lowest point always. Huh. Must have been something changed in the fine print. And...
Yeah, I can imagine it now, signing the contract to be the avatar or something. And it's like, oh, by the way, if you're feeling extremely depressed, there may be times we might try and help you, but just make sure it's not on a Tuesday, because we're
out having spirit bowling at that time.
Yeah, we're having a bowling lunch, even though we're ghosts.
So, at the end, we are left with essentially all of Korra's problems solved. She even gets energy bending, so now people can get their bending back. I guess energy bending now counters out whatever that blood bending was. They never explained that. And Mako's in love with Korra. Yeah, you kind of forget that romance was even a thing when Mako all of a sudden just announces, I'm in love with you. Sure, it was hinted at or whatnot, but it feels so badly executed. And that's the end of the season. Or as far as we knew, the series until Book 2 was announced. I forget, Pedro, was Book 2 announced before Season 1 ended?
I don't remember, Joe. It was a long time ago.
The point being is...
I would have to look it up.
The point being is, like, even after the season came by, I still had hopes for the series. And those hopes would eventually come to pay off in Book 3 and onward. The thing is that this season was draining, though. Like, it was so surreal to feel like things were going back and forth quality-wise with this series. Like, okay, and you know what? Maybe they had trouble getting back on the bike. But this series, again, like all you said, it shouldn't have been this convoluted. Shouldn't have been this mixed. Shouldn't have been this... Well, not cowardly, but just stupid in how it tries to portray prejudice or whatnot. It's like, I'm with Shura on this. I think they were trying to tell a prejudice story. It's just that they completely lost sight of how to actually tell a prejudice story. And it just gets worse and worse the more clearly evil Amon gets. And then there's his motivation, but I already went over that. Oh boy, Book 1 here, Legend of Korra. you're fun to riff on. Okay, you give us plenty of material
That was
to
a
work
good
with.
venting session.
Yes, you're good for venting. But God,
We got 3 more to go.
when it comes to actually watching the series for entertainment, I do books 2 through 4. 2 because it's so bad, and trust me, 2 is the ultimate venting session. But 3 and 4 are actually finding legit good. Granted, you'll get to judge yourselves with book 2. Ugh.
So see you for
Feel better?
2. Yes, I
Feel
feel
better
much
now, Jim?
better.
There you go.
Did you have fun? Did you get it all out of your system?
Yeah, I did. And Lord knows I'm gonna need all my strength because, well, book 2, Spirits, is coming up next, everyone.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a bad old time.
Aren't we, Pedro?
Mm-hmm.
See you then.
See
See ya.
See ya.